Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Last video, I made a mistake in the commentary. At the end of the last race, Bob Cutlass said, "Win number 3 for the rookie sensation." This quote that I showed in the video is false. Now, on to the current race. The 20th race of 2016, where Pitbull Speed Racer announces his future retirement on RSN. And, oh no! Lightning McQueen got loosed during qualifying. And Juan Carlos Martinez will be retiring from Piston Cup racing. Same with Jose Madrigal. It's sad to see their careers end so soon. Starting at pole position is Jackson Storm again! And Ed Trunken, who's outside. Row 2 has Ryan inside Laney and H.J. Hollis to his outside. And row 3 has Harvey Rodcap and Tim Treadless. I wonder how he'll do this race. But right behind them in row 4 is Green Bean Carafine and Aaron Clocker. Now on to row 5, where Brick Yardley will be starting alongside Pitbull Speed Racer. Now on to row 6, where Todd Marcus will be starting alongside Bruce Miller. I wonder how well they'll do this race. And row 7 has Reb Meeker and Cal Weathers, some of the stock cars that are doing better as of right now. And row 8 has Darren Ledfoot, who's hoping to lead some laps, and James Garrison, who's outside. Row 9 has Ralph Carlo and Jack DePost to his outside. And behind them, in row 10, is Ricky Axel and Chip Gearings. I hope he doesn't crash this race. And row 11 has Jamarcus Cakehart and Bobby Swift to his outside. And in row 12, we've got Rev Rodages, who's been doing really well these past few races, and Marcus Kranksler. Row 13 has Jimmy Cables, who's having a bad last few races, and Rex Revler. And row 14 has Cal Williams, who is back to qualifying, and Floyd Mulvihill. Row 15 has Sebastian Silva, who is also back to qualifying, same with Arthur Carstro. Row 16 has Paunchy Wipeout and Brian Sparks to his outside, and row 17 has Murray Clutchburn and Dino Draftski. I wonder how they'll do. And row 18 has Matthew Overdrive and Lightning McQueen! What's he doing all the way back here? Just barely beating Tommy Highbanks and Bobby Rotesta in row 19. Row 20 has Buck Beeringly and Terry Cargis to his outside. And behind them is Lane Locke and Ernie Gearson, who only barely qualified for this race. Same with Dirksen D'Agostino, starting in 43rd once again. And these 6 cars, among many others, failed to qualify for this race. But for these 6 cars, how did you fail to qualify for this race? Ernie Gearson and Dirksen D'Agostino were awful in qualifying. Now, onto the race, where Jackson Storm would lead the first 21 laps of the race before losing the lead to Lightning McQueen, who would only lead for 1 lap before Jackson Storm would retake the lead before lap 22, leading for 50 laps before Harvey Rodcap would take the lead off of pit cycles. He would hold the lead until lap 74 before he would lose it to H.J. Hollis, who would not lead for very long because Jackson Storm would retake the lead. He would lead for 50 more laps before Harvey Rodcap would take the lead once again. He would lead until lap 126, where Jackson Storm would retake the lead yet again. And he would lead all the way until lap 131, where Green Bean Carafine would take the lead from him. He would lead the field until lap 132, but later that lap, Jackson Storm would retake it. And he wouldn't lose it for another 50 laps! Meanwhile, Lightning McQueen would get loose on lap 182, but luckily, he is not out. Now, who took the lead from Jackson Storm? Harvey Rodcap took the lead on lap 183 and would lead for 2 laps before Jackson Storm would take the lead again and lead until lap 231. Terry Cargis would be out on lap 231 because of an engine failure, and Todd Marcus would somehow take the lead on lap 232. But H.J. Hollis would take the lead a few yards later, leading the field until lap 235, where Jackson Storm would take the lead again and lead for 50 more laps. Ryan inside Laney would take the lead on lap 285 and lead until lap 293, where, you guessed it, Jackson Storm took the lead. But on lap 304, Ed Trunken would take the lead off of pit cycles. And then, after the pit stops are done, Jackson Storm takes the lead again, leading for 50 more laps. Lightning McQueen would get loose again on lap 350. And then H.J. Hollis would take the lead on lap 354, leading the field into the next lap. But Lightning McQueen would go down a lap on this lap. And then Jackson Storm would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 393. Lightning McQueen would pass him to get back on the lead lap on lap 393. Harvey Rodcap would then take the lead, and then he would lead until lap 409. Meanwhile, Lightning McQueen would go down a lap again on lap 407, and 2 laps later, Ernie Gearson would go down a lap as well. And then Jackson Storm would retake the lead and lead for 70 laps! How does any car, even if he's a next generation car, lead for 70 laps in a row? How? But on lap 479, Jackson Storm would be running low on fuel. See? That's what happens when you lead for too long. Jackson Storm, you still have a lot to learn. But someone that did learn is Ryan Inside Laney, who then took the lead. But on lap 490, Harvey Rodcap would take the lead for himself, leading the final 10 laps. But on the front stretch of the final lap, Jackson Storm would then take the lead and go on to win the 2016 Lucky's Bar and Grill 500. And Daryl Cartrip would say, 4 in a row, are you kidding? Reacting to Jackson Storm's win again. Harvey Rodcap would finish second in this race. Marcus Cranksler finished third. Ralph Carlo fourth. Bobby Rotesta fifth. Todd Marcus sixth. Ryan Inside Laney seventh. Ed Trunken eighth. Aaron Clocker ninth. And rounding out the top 10 is H.J. Hollis. Lane Locke would be the last car to finish on the lead lap this race, finishing 40th. That means that 40 cars finished on the lead lap. And for the first time in a while, no mean cars wrecked anybody, as all of the cars that did not finish the race on the lead lap finished that way because of engine failures or bad pit strategy. Green Bean Carafine finishes 11th, followed by Cal Weathers, Ricky Axel, Maury Clutchburn, and James Garrison, making up the top 15. Jack DePost, his teammate Jamarcus Cakehart, Tim Treadless, Brick Yardley, and Pitbull Speed Racer round out the top 20, with Brian Sparks earning 100 points this race. Arthur Carstro finishing 22nd, followed by Darren Ledfoot in 23rd, Reb Meeker, and Bruce Miller to round out the top 25. Rev Rodages, Dino Draftsky, Chip Gearings, Rex Revler, and Matthew Overdrive make up the top 30. Bobby Swift! How did you finish outside the top 30? And he only barely beat Cal Williams, Jimmy Cables, Sebastian Silva, and Buck Beeringley, who all finished in the top 35. Tommy Highbanks, Dirksen D'Agostino, Floyd Movilhill, and Paunchy Wipeout were all very lucky there were no crashes this race, as they all got lead lap finishes. And of course, Lane Locke finished 40th this race. And Lightning McQueen getting his worst finish of the season so far, finishing 41st, 1 lap down! Despite this, Lightning McQueen remains the points leader, but his lead has narrowed. Cal Weathers is still in second, followed by Bobby Swift, Brick Yardley, and Jimmy Cables in the top 5. Tim Treadless somehow still in 6th, followed by Harvey Rodcap, Reb Meeker, Kevin Carvick, who wasn't in the race, and Ed Trunken making up the top 10, followed by Aaron Clocker, Martin Carricks Jr., James Garrison, 10 points ahead of Ricky Axel, and James's teammate Jack DePost rounding out the top 15. Ryan Inside Laney is in 16th, 20 points ahead of Maury Clutchburn, and Rex Revler in 18th. Todd Marcus is in 19th, and Jamarcus Cakehart rounds out the top 20. 34 points ahead of his teammate Chip Gearings in 21st.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Jackson Storm might have won 4 races in a row, while that is his first ever 4 races. Jackson Storm still has a lot to learn, such as how to lead more than 50 laps in a row without running out of fuel. But if the current number of next generation racers remains the same, then maybe the stock cars still have a chance, as we're seeing that, as with Pitbull Speed Racer, they're upgrading into better cars, or they're actually still keeping up with the next generation racers. And the next video of the 2016 Piston Cup season, which will be covering the 21st race, will be coming out soon enough. But unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on over 3 years later. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom, but this common dream was ruined by the tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who said no to a ceasefire because he wanted to make sure that he could keep what he illegally took over in Ukraine, which is around 1/5 of their total land area, which includes Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of the Kharkiv, Kherson, and Zaporizhia oblasts. This land combined is a similar size to the entire US state of Tennessee, and it could be worse. We here at the K Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny and recognize Ukraine's true borders as shown by this map, which includes Crimea in the southeast, the Donbass in the east, as well as the whole of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts. Slava Ukraini! Heroyam slava! Nechai Shvetsya Daroratsya! Ukraini Permoha! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon.